Greetings and welcome to another episode of Association Matters, the PCA official podcast for conversations on governance, leadership, and impact in the association sector. We're your host. I'm Bobby.
And I'm Emily. And today we'll be exploring an essential aspect of association leadership and governance, strategic planning that actually works. Strategic planning is an integral part of association governance. It defines the organization's direction, priorities, and action to achieve long-term success.
So, for this podcast, we will feature a regional association of development financing institutions, or alternately called development banks. To help enlighten us on this topic, we are joined by Mr. Enrique Florencio, Secretary General of the Association of Development Financing Institutions in Asia and the Pacific, or ADFIAP for short.
Enrique goes by the nickname Boyet, I understand, and is a leading advocate for sustainable finance, ESG integration, and institutional innovation across Asia Pacific. A certified sustainability assurance practitioner, he supports development finance institutions in strengthening governance, mobilizing climate and blue finance, and adopting future-ready operational frameworks.
So, Boyet, thank you for joining us. So we'll start off with this first question. So, in your view and in your experience in ADFIAP, what makes strategic planning actually works?
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Emily, for that very comprehensive introduction. And before I answer the question, Bobby, would be fine to just tell something about what is ADFIAP. So,
Sure.
for the benefit of our audience and our viewers, so ADFIAP is a focal point of 97 member DFIs in Asia and the Pacific. So, the head office is in Manila, the Philippines. So, going back to your question, how strategic planning works with ADFIAP. So I think for me, strategic planning in ADFIAP as an association works when three conditions are met. First is alignment with mission and stakeholders. Second is the inclusive participation. And last is the practicality and adaptability. In terms of alignment with mission, ADFIAP mission is to advance sustainable development across Asia and the Pacific. And strategic planning succeeds when every initiative, capacity building, advocacy, or even partnerships directly supports this mission and resonates with members' priorities. Because the very reason why an association like us exists is because of our members. Not just for us, but for any other organizations out there. Second, inclusive participations. Plans are effective when they are co-created with input from members, partners, and the secretariat. This ensures buy-in and relevance. For example, during the formulation of sustainability programs, ADFIAP actively engage members to identify pressing issues like green financing and SME development. In terms of practicality and adaptability, ADFIAP operates in diverse economies with different needs. Strategic planning works when goals are number one, realistic, measurable, and flexible enough to adapt to external changes such as regulatory shifts and global crisis.
So thank you for those insights and that context. In the context of ADFIAP, what makes strategic planning actionable? Do you have any stories or examples that you can share with us?
Well, a plan becomes actionable when translates broad operations, aspirations into concrete programs, timelines, and accountability. For example, when the ADFIAP identified sustainability as a strategic priority, it didn't stop at advocacy. We launched a Sustainable Development Awards or program where we recognize members' institutions implementing green and socially responsible projects. And this initiative turned strategy into action. It motivated members, showcased their best practices, and created measurable impact. Actionability in ADFIAP case comes from clear projects, resource mobilization through partnerships, and regular monitoring through conferences and workshops.
Great to hear that, Boyet. So this is our last question. So what challenges have you encountered or and/or lessons learned on the strategic planning process and implementation in ADFIAP's case?
Well, there's a lot. As you know that like any regional association, ADFIA faces challenges in planning and implementation. Because number one, in terms of diverse members' needs, our members range from large national development banks to small specialized institutions. So balancing these varied priorities is difficult. In terms of resource constraint, as a membership organization, ADFIAP relies on membership dues and partnerships, so limited resources can slow implementation. So we build strong external partnership and leverage members' expertise to help us stretch resources. And for external shocks, we learned from recent crises like pandemic that flexibility and scenario planning are essential. So, for example, during the COVID-19, we were able to shift to virtual conferences and online training, ensuring the continuity of our strategic agenda. So, I believe during the pandemic, as an association, we're not that affected because we continue our operations even without the physical involvement or physical meeting. So we have to continue because as an association, we cannot just sit down and wait for the impact of the COVID-19. So we have to go on and we have to show that your association is here and ready for you.
It really sounds like you've handled those challenges really well there, Boyet. That's great. Thank you so much for your insight. For our listeners, let's wrap up as always with some takeaways for our viewers. So number one, I think is strategic planning works when it involves and engages key stakeholders, when it's member-centric and it's purpose-driven. Number two is strategic planning becomes actionable when translated into concrete and relevant programs for members. I really liked that point that you brought up there. And number three, I think, is challenges in strategic planning can be addressed when considering member diversity, adapting flexibility in implementation, as you just mentioned, and using technology for that efficiency, as you touched on. I think the key word for me here is alignment between stakeholders and members, strategy and action, plans and reality.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Boyet. This is all time for us for this podcast. So thank you again for joining us in this short learning session. This is, again, Association Matters, where governance, leadership, and impact come together. This podcast is brought to you by the Philippine Council of Associations and Association Executives and MEMBIS AMS.
Subscribe to our podcast and visit PCAAE website for updates and full episode notes. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you.